Well, evening, Miss Francesca. How are we doing? Time of day right now is 4:44 p.m. on a Tuesday evening of the 20th of May, 2025. Responding to a couple of remarks that you've made on your video labeled on Biden's diagnosis. Put Biden aside on this one. You've seen my title of my header there. Long while I've been dealing with mine too. Age 4 years old, and then it's ongoing. Have you ever perused a couple of my channels regarding how I talk about it? Then maybe you understand how I feel about death. Not an easy thing to deal with a lot of people. And yes, you have a lot of things to keep you busy and keep you going, and it's a good thing. I tried to do that for a long while, but I discovered that after I get some core hits in my own family within the past decade and a half, within that time period. It gets things harder and harder to deal with when you get older and older. You still got time, girl. You still got energy, you got family, you got support. For me, the trigger that puts me into the depression that grief always causes is your own key points that you focus more on, and it tears one apart. Mine was, and still is, family. Along the way, my 59 years of being on this gruesome planet of ours, I've lost too many relatives, too many pets, too many family and friends. Not just a geographic, not just a geographic, but it's only to what we've been dealing with these days. Loss of people that we care about, we love, and we lived with for a long while. You're a mother, you would understand the term family. Anything and everything you can do to keep them together. And I hope and pray that you do, because family is important to me. When you lose core, and we're supposed to lose core, the amount of love that we feel and the grief that lasts for a long period of time is how much we've already poured into it. I considered it, if I wanted to look at it analytically, of how much of it did I pour into the relationships to make it work. And then when it's no longer working, how much of a deficit, how much red on a ledger doesn't feel. We look at numbers impartially and impassionately, and I hate numbers. But I try to put it into a format in my head that I can try to understanding and analyzing. But you can't analyze a broken heart, and you can't analyze and scrutinize how much loss feels in your life unless you've already poured a lot of it into the relationships, and then it's like hell. I'm talking about personal experiences. And yes, over the past decade and a half, I had been seeing therapists. You think that's easy enough? I share my story with people who have lost people. Sometimes they know what they're facing and they don't want to face it. It's all right when it's your time to face it. You will face it, and I hope that you have support around you and surrounding you. Because trust me, when that pain kicks in, and it will hard, and it's not just one time. It's not just one time, Francis. It's a lot of times. Some people say you got to be strong. No, you just got to be human. You're allowed to be weak, what they consider weak. You can cry, you can bitch, you can moan and groan, you can be depressed about a thing. But you also look at it. These things come in waves. They come in waves and flood you out. And it's okay to isolate. It's okay to cry. It's okay to bitch. It's okay to gripe and be angry, shake your fist at the universe. And I understand it a long time ago that it is part of the universe. It's built into our own spiritual, whatever kind of codes we got beyond the DNA. But it's built into us that we have to go through these kind of situations. It's out of our hands. But it's part of the process that we have to go through life. I mean, you can try going through life and not feeling the pain a great deal. I wouldn't consider you a fool or an idiot at the point. I consider you very lucky to have that kind of a strong persona to beat back the humanity of it all. I did that a long time ago. I had to be a fighter and survivor for my family. Not to mention a closed person as well. Too much of an introvert. And yes, I've lost. I now know what it is to lose one's life as well and come back and then feel you're not part of anything anymore or everything, even at the age of 4 years old. Open heart surgery changes a person a great deal at that young age. Not to mention experiencing death 3 times, coming back to life. And then how are you supposed to look at life? How are you supposed to look at things and everybody else? How are you supposed to love? I had a hard time trying to deal with that in all of my life. Isolated. Thought I was worse than the Addams family. This sort of gruesomeness was almost like a fun game. For me, it wasn't. I've been there. It was not fun. It was supposed to have been just a simple repair job of a few valves in my heart. Nobody would know that I'd be losing my life during that time and then coming back and then having a lifetime of issues after that. You know, there's no manual and there's no therapy waiting for you around 1970s, I'll tell you that much. Maybe around your time, girl, when back in the 1980s and 90s they were talking about therapy for people who've been through death. Maybe. I never heard anything about it. I had to deal with life. I had to deal with aunts and uncles and dogs and everybody else in my lifetime leaving, dying off, or doing a deal. And these days, I deal strictly with a tyrant of my own. She who must be obeyed. It's back on camera again, boys and girls. Yeah, this is the old broad. I can say it. She is an old bride. Old, blind, deaf, and I still love the crap out of her. This is Mama's. She goes by a few other names when she was actually able to hear it, but she's the Mama's. She's also she who must be obeyed. Because if I don't obey her, well then I've got a problem. And this situation, she's a good example. Because we switched from the grieving situation, now we deal with the political. Yeah, groan if you must. I would if I were you. I know, Mom. I know. Give me a few minutes, will you? She's going to be wanting my attention all the time. And she does. Try doing 24/7 on a dog. We talked about Biden, right? Well, we also talked about things regarding the Biden situation and the decisions made and everything else going on. The Middle East has been a hot zone ever since we've got anything on recording. And that means a lot of inscriptions on stones. Stories popping up left and right. We get parchments. We get historical records. We get people's attitudes. Middle East was never a calm zone. And any and all historical facts that we've gone through, any kind of records we've talked to people about, interpretations, it's never been the calmest situation. It's never been the calmest area of planet Earth. Even volcanic activity can have its calming times. But these folks out there just don't. Lifelong blood, generations spilled, stories. It's who and what they are. It's ingrained in them, generation after generation after generation, genetics and even down below. There's that much of a hotbed of emotions, of spirituality, of politics, of territory. Not just oil. Not just oil or any kind of natural resources out there, Francesca. I'm 59 years old. I've been trying to read a hell of a lot of stuff throughout my lifetime. Sometimes it was limited and other times it wasn't. Watched news all the time. I'd seen presidents. I'd seen world leaders trying to deal with things. I'd seen PLO having conniption fits with the Israeli government. Researching the thing a long time ago and seeing how Israel, there was no official start in Israel out there unless you want to take the holy texts that seriously enough to where you probably see it as a historical record. The only historical record they got, unless they have something else to come up with it to back it up, or maybe to not back it up, shall we say, to disprove it. But until we have that kind of situation, we go by what we have. And we have to make assumptions and guesses left and right. We've got a hot spot that people cannot just stand and have just a calm area and have a generation or two build up and everything will be funky dory. No, it seems like the whole area is not that way sometimes. But even if I keep it on that kind of a historical perspective, we'll bump it up to the 20th century. World War I affecting everybody. Territory being affected, searched out. Assassination of a son causes a whiplash effect that we had never seen or ever encountered. Maybe in different wars we've actually had, but nothing like what we've had. And then a country has to go through reparations to the world, one way or another. Promises made, armistice made, and anger festered. And you got a troublemaker over there. Gee, takes one. To create a hostile environment that spreads throughout the area. Including the Middle East. And the people, for whatever reasons, get targeted for extermination. Generations disappear. Global hotspot that scars everybody one way or another. But they just were not scarred just by World War II. It's been lifelong. It's been spanning perspective, context. That's what I keep trying to tell people left and right. In my own videos, when I really got into it, I'd use one topic. And everybody's got a different viewpoint on that topic. You only see one side of it. Do you hear the other side? Do you see the other side? It could be a round ball. It could be something else. Try doing that with your own fist. Yeah. Stick your fist up. Try to turn around. You see different perspectives of it. Without you turning your wrist, you're trying to twist your arm around or head around just to see what this thing looks like. Of course, you can get a 360. You can do a camera, do a 360 degree if you can, or just look on top of it. The bottom of it, well, you still got your arm right there. But how we look at things. Why? Different story altogether. Why? We're stuck with it. Unless we know something better. Unless we can see beyond it, being open-minded, move, shift, and see what the item is. We agree what we see. is harsh and bloody and everything else going hell in a handbasket. Oh, I know. Tell me about it. I hadn't seen it personally. I had seen too many things on records, on videos, on audios, and television programs and books. Yeah, it gets to a person. It gets to everybody what we got. The current situation happening since last year, or year before that, or year before that. Which particular perspective has really changed us a great deal. In 1947, we had Palestine torn apart into chunks. Two different people crammed into one country. And no solution, no peace. Maybe developments, not so much. Now we get mistakes from other wars happening in our own country. Getting worse and worse. We got politicians who want to make their political bag. They want to make their political headlines. They want to say that they've done. Yeah, what do they do? They wanted peace. Well, peace comes at a price. A large, heavy, ugly price. You want the peace, you got to work at it. But we don't want the peace. We want the war. We want the agony. We want the aggravation. We want something happening all the time. We want to hear the listening and the crying. We claim we want the peace. No, we don't. We want the war. We want the war. Why? Because it's, and put in a blank on that one there, it's terrifying as it is. Peace is bland. Peace is quiet. Peace is just there. But war, good for, fill in the blanks on that one. And just how much have we been screwed around with that damn idea for a long while, hasn't it? We jumped to Biden. Biden had a long relationship with Netanyahu, with Israel. You know, they lost Yasser Arafat a long time ago. He kept up with the militant group of the PLO organization out there. Were they trying to search for peace with the Kismet? Or were they still trying to kill each other? In a long civil war? Occasional bombing in the places, but nothing like we have seen. Yeah. Different controls happen where he's out, politically and physically. And no clear-cut leader for the Palestinian movement out there. Except for Hamas. Hamas wants everything. They want the Israelis out. They don't want peace. According to one side. To the other side, we want Hamas destroyed because they want us destroyed. We don't want peace, we want war. Maybe some have been saying that we still want a two-party solution. Well, looking at how Israel had been splitting itself apart throughout several decades since its creation as Israel, I doubt we're going to find any working peaceful solutions in our time period, my dear. It's too damn ingrained. They can try. That's the only thing that they can do is work on it and try. Because if they don't, they're stuck with it. But what happened with Hamas doing what they've been doing for over a year and more? Finally, we got an American out under this particular administration, but we have seen too much atrocities happening on both sides. It's one thing Israel had a problem concerning with Syria going after him. It's another thing them having an issue with Egypt and had to have peace talks out in Camp David. Do you think that ever happened in our time? Actually, in this current administration? Hell no. No, they're not working. We didn't see it on Biden's watch. Sure as only going to see it on Trump's watch. Biden had been a lifer, almost been a super lifer when it came down for a politician. If his health really wasn't failing, he'd still be trying to run for the second term and then winning it, hopefully. But the way people's attitude has been concerning about our political situations, it's gotten worse and worse. Even with the Electoral College supposed to say it one way, but the population says the other way. People didn't care about what the hell was going on. Well, because what was going on in the Middle East was definitely affecting our elections. In my opinion, in my own observations, how we got Trump in office. Lack of turnout. And then we got it in. Yeah. Give me a second. Shield must be obeyed. Sorry about that. I have to deal with shield must be obeyed. Well, you try having a fussy in your place. Who takes more attention? Who wants more attention? Who demands more attention? I got four-legged. You got a two-legged creature. Actually, you got two of them. One that clearly has a head on his shoulders, mostly aware of things, and then you got a smaller version, tinier, with a fuss budget. No, I haven't. But we digress. Do I blame Biden what the hell happened? I don't know. I know he was compliant and complicit of giving weapons to Israel, expecting it to be defense, but for mass slaughter, mass mutilations, and genocide? Yeah, I got a problem with that one there, too. Am I sorry that he's got a diagnosis of cancer? Well, I had forgotten a long time ago that he actually had been cancer prone. Which kind of reminds me, since I'm going to be turning 60 next year, and I've had cancer in my family's history. I've had medical issues that should have killed me a long time ago, and I haven't. So I'm not going to stress over that damn thing. But as for Biden's diagnosis, I'm just going to pray for him and his family to weather out the storm. Now, if I'm going to be getting into retribution thinking at this point over here, I got to stop that shit. I got to find my compassion and empathy for another human being going through cancer because it sucks. I've seen how people go through cancer. I've seen good friends die of it. Never a good thing. Never a good thing. And it hurt like hell seeing my friends die. So yeah, I know how it feels. I know how it feels to lose loved ones due to cancer. But if I'm considering it a political retribution or cosmic retribution against him, I'm not taking on that charge. We have a current administration who's not wanting the continuation with it. If Trump was actually considered a nice guy for negotiating things, to say, oh, 24 hours, well, and a little this, and, well, we both know. Francesca, you've done your homework, girl. You've done your homework on Trump. You know there's no way in hell he's going to be a good president. Not just what we have right now, but what he has done in the past and his family's history. And family history also has a thing to play in our little talks here. Why were they leaving Germany? Were they kicked out voluntarily, or did they leave on their own? And for what did they try to scam off of people left and right, building an empire in New York? I came across stories. On those. And if it is the same upbringing concerning about our dear old fearless leader in office right now, the old gas bag. No, trash bag. One of those two. They are kind of trashy, aren't they? Replicants and maggots. Maggots are that are like MAGAs. Uh, Replicate themselves left and right. It's worse than watching The Matrix or the Matrix movies. Mr. Smith. Hmm. We're dealing with that kind of a situation. Anyway, it's up on you whether or not you want to give him a pass or not. But as a human being, I would for myself. And yes, he's done some questionables, but not as much as I've seen so far these days. If it is cosmic will for Trump, actually for Biden to get what he's got right now, I'm going to pray for him as if for one human being to another human being. And yes, he's done some bad things, but for me, I give the guy a little bit of a pass, but I know he has been part of a genocide. I don't support the genocide. I support the Palestinian people. But as long as I know both sides of the story over here, I can't be that much into it, except to say Kismet has got it wrong. And so is Netanyahu and his merry band of idiots in there. Two-part solution should have been it. But since Hamas wasn't going to be able to have that damn thing, they helped poison the whole damn shit. So now it's so damn muddy. I don't know which party is going to be wrong on this one. It's both of them actually. Pain and suffering of the Palestinian people, yes, been great for a long while. Gotten worse since 47. And if there's no chance of having any peaceful solutions out of this damn thing, we shouldn't be helping out Israel stomping out the Palestinians. We should have been helping the Palestinian people and the Israelis to try to knock off at least a temporary solution, if not a permanent one, for peace. And slaughtering each other is no answer. But unfortunately, we've got blood in our mouths. I had said a long time ago that we are part of all of this. Of the Trump, of our actions. We're accountable, we're transparent, and we're responsible. We should be all three. We should own up to the damn thing that we helped that shit. Even if we said no all the time, we should have been more insistent about it. Getting everybody else to listen and follow through, and then maybe, just maybe, make a course change somehow, but we didn't. So yeah, I still hold my country and my people accountable to it all the shit. And everything's coming out of Trump, we put the son of a bitch in office. How? We didn't care enough to keep him out of office. Would Harris had been a better president? Yes, I know she wouldn't be going for the damn deportation flights or screwing around with the law. She had been a California attorney general out here. She would have known better. Trump doesn't. Now we got this asshole to deal with. If there is a solution, we're going to have to struggle through this damn thing to find it. And then maybe, if we're lucky. Francesca, if you still want to talk about how you're dealing with your emotional situation. I know people say talk to a priest, talk to somebody else. Well, yeah, you can talk to me about it. We'll talk. Stay away from politics if we had to. But I just wanted to extend an olive branch to you. As for the other issues that you've been going through, I'm not going to touch on those just yet. One major funky catastrophe at a time. Give a hug and squeeze to both your family. Both your short and your tall one there. Hold them tight, girl. Hold them tight. And then don't be afraid to go through the emotions. Don't be. Anyway, one of these videos, we'll talk later. John Cameron Weaver from Rosamond, California, the armpit of the Antelope Valley. That's me.